I would like to welcome Marlene, Dennis, and Latifa, Casey, Marion, and whoever is just coming in the door to our webinar this evening. My name is Marguerite Dunitz-Scheer. Hello, Pauline. And I will be today talking about the role or the challenge for pediatricians to support children and their families in the situation of having early eating or feeding problems. And thus we will be talking, hello, we also have a dog coming to listen to us. Hello, more and more people are coming in. Is everybody able to understand me well?
Yes.
I can see most of you. And I kindly ask you to put off your micro until you would like to ask a question, which you're very, very welcome to do by just putting up the hand. And then we will interrupt at any point on any topic. So just feel free. We are not a huge group tonight. Feel free to pose your questions. I will be talking on the one hand about tube weaning in specific questions you might have. And the second big topic we will be trying to cover a bit is what people call nowadays highly selective eating or picky eating, or even avoidant restrictive intake. And we will be answering questions. Now, the fascinating thing about eating development is that this has been going on for as long as, hello, Dennis. Eating has been going on as long as humans have been developing in this world. And basically eating is, or we are trying to consider it as something very basic, autonomous, like breathing, like intake of energy and output of energy. And one could say that eating is one of the oldest or most natural, necessary skills which humans have taught themselves and each other for thousands and millions of years. And at the same time, eating in this world, which has become a world of abundance in the most of the globe, has become more complicated, more complex, more challenging than ever before. And this paradox is something which we are encountering really in our absolute daily work, that something which should and can be one of the simplest things suddenly becomes, in a Western world of high-tech medicine, something which seems nearly impossibly complex, impossibly difficult. And a lot of our work is trying to help the parents, on the one hand, trust their child to more or less rely on their genetic program of basically knowing how learning to eat works, but at the same time helping the parents pull back their natural wish to support the eating development, because we all know that newborns are dependent for about 1 year, on healthy newborns, on the assistance of their caregivers and parents. And without this sensitive assistance, children wouldn't grow up. But the Western world has shifted into a situation of feeding children far too long, far too complicated. And we somehow in the last 30 years believe that children need different food than adults, that we have to buy special food, and that feeding your child has become a very complicated, nearly science, rocket science, you could say. And this all becomes much, much, much more difficult if your child, for whatever reason, starts life without being able to not allowed to, or not able to eat naturally by its mouth. So we have now more and more children in the pediatric community who start life on what we call a feeding tube, artificial feeding, followed also by TPN, which is parenteral feeding, which is giving your child all the nutrition it needs by the vein, which is just as externally controlled as the tube. And these children survive the most sophisticated surgery and the most sophisticated perinatal and antenatal intensive care, because we have this option since about 30 years of putting a little plastic tube either through the nose or directly into the stomach or into the gut. And so the first few weeks and months are kind of secured by a very high quality, highly regulated, externally controlled nutrition input. And the baby is mostly fighting with other complex issues. So everybody is happy and content that we have this option of feeding the child artificially. And then children are sent home from the hospital settings, which have been trying to help them to survive, hopefully in a good state, some in a not so optimal state. But then the tube somehow is taking them home. They are taking their tube home, and the parents are instructed to use this tube, which they in the first weeks mostly do gladly and are happy to have it because it gives them a feeling of security. And the nurses and doctors have been doing this for a few weeks or even months. And after a while, the idea comes up, so where are we going to with this tube? And that's the moment our organization No Tube, which is a non-profit organization which developed, basically we exist as an autonomous firm since 14 years now, but we developed our method and our approach in 30 years of running a psychosomatic unit, a so-called severe eating disorder unit at the University Hospital of Graz, which is a very, very large unit. And there we were specialized for eating problems from birth to 18. So we had the full range of kids who didn't want to eat. On the one hand, the older we shifted, and who couldn't eat, the younger we shifted. And this idea has become the main focus of our working group of nearly 20 interdisciplinary professionals, psychologists and feeding therapists and occupational therapists, physiotherapists, medical doctors, paediatricians. We are 4 of us. And we are basically offering our support in 2 main pathways. The one is what we call the online treatment, which we started long before COVID started, where we wean about 100 children every year, and we treat children in the so-called net coaching program for the tube children, and in the Learn to Eat program for the non-tube eating problem children. And the second one is with our approach by offering a 2-week intensive program at the Eating School, a very special place for children and families, which is located in Graz, a city, university city in southern Austria. Now, I would like to invite you all to use the chat. We have 3 specialists of our team accompanying you with questions you might have. And I would like to say right at the beginning, we got a beautiful list of lovely questions, about, I think 40 questions we have, which would absolutely not be possible to cover all in this 1-hour webinar, but please use the chat now. You will be receiving answers both by Dr. Russell and by Casey Frenzel from our team. And please use the option of what we call the free evaluation, which is a 20-minute free encounter which you book to ask specific questions about your child. So we will try and, of course, cover as much as might interest you tonight. And please use the opportunity, since we are a small group, to really ask what you would like to ask, and we will try and answer that. Before I start answering the questions, I would like to emphasize that one of the basic impressions we have is that the whole idea of parents wanting their child, they write, how can I get my child to do something? How can I get my child to eat new food? How can I get my child to get interested, need less distraction, and so on? And this whole idea, on our website, you will find a thing called philosophy, the no-tube philosophy, it's not about getting your child to do anything. It's about learning to respect and to step back and to observe your child at the point the child's eating development is right at the moment. And from that point on, accompanying the child, which always should have the lead. So it's not the idea, I have to be smarter than my child to offer the right things at the right moment in the right way, but it's more about, let me try and help my child find its own way. The same as if you look at how children learn to walk, or learn to swim, or learn to actually do anything. It's mostly a very individualized process, and it's about technical skills, it's about emotional skills, it's about fears and hesitations and motivation, and it's also, in some cases, about some physical issues, but that is mostly not the main reason why a child has difficulties. The main reasons why we encounter difficulties is this whole situation of too much expectation and too much pressure. So the parents feel, after weeks of their child having been taken care of by other people, they suddenly have this full responsibility of doing it now themselves. And then the doctors say, well, it would be lovely if your child would now properly start gaining weight. And then your child suddenly feels that every 2 hours, either food is poured into the tube, and it's kind of starting to fight nausea and food avoidance and all these negative side effects which come if we push too hard and too strongly. And at the same time, then the child will go into a kind of hesitation towards the changes being made, which again makes the parents nervous because they've been told to make some changes. So our main work is, on the one hand, to secure the child's physical health and well-being in the online as well as the on-site. And it's not about having two methods. Both methods are the same one, which we call child-led, but the online is using the method by using the ticket system and exchanging video analysis, which are interpreted by our therapists on a daily basis. And the eating school is a hands-on experience of 2 weeks where the parents get a support which they feel they have to get out of their comfort zone, which is not comfortable anymore, and kind of get a change of environment. The success rates in both methods are practically identical. The main difference is that the children in the net coaching are younger by nearly 1 year, which makes it easier because their eating development, like if you have been dependent on a tube for 10 months, it's easier to change. Hi, little child. It's easier to change than to do the same thing at 2.5 if you've been since 2.5 on the tube. So the earlier, which counts for the children in the eating school as well as online, the earlier we meet you and the earlier the child is allowed to make a change in the technique in which it is fed, the better. And one of the things we really see that the possibility for the child to make encounters in a group of children is a very, very convincing part of the success of the eating school approach, because we have to get the children out of the kind of one-to-one expectational atmosphere of you should and I want you to and please, please, please do something. And we have noticed that children of any age, starting really from 3 or 4 months, profit enormously by the group situation, where it's about the children having fun with each other, having sensory awareness groups 5 times a day. We have nearly an hour of encounter with food in a very playful environment. So all these fear of touching food and fear of tasting and licking food are quite different when the child is in the group situation. And that's one of the main benefits of the eating school. Now, in some situations, a child is not physically apt to visit the eating school. This is rare, but maybe about 3%, 3 to 5% of all our patients cannot be accepted to the open group situation because of medical, immunological issues, or we don't accept children with a tracheostomy to the open group because we think the risk is too high. Also, the children come from all over the world, and some of the travels are really challenging. And in the last eating school, we had a child from New Zealand, and the journey was 40 hours in both directions to get to us, which was quite a thing. Everything went well, but these are the things we discuss with the parents before a child is accepted, that we try and discuss whether the online option or the on-site option is the best for your child. This has to be looked at in what we call the assessment process, where we carefully have at least two of our pediatricians work through the videos, 3 videos you send us, the medical reports, which are uploaded, and a questionnaire. And after that, we give you a kind of suitability recommendation and try and find the best possible option. Now, I would like to ask Latifa and Pauline and Marlene and Dennis and Gina and Miroslava whether anybody has a question right now which they would like to pose at the beginning of our... Pauline.
Yes. Hi. I just wanted to ask, I've sent in the assessment. I was just wondering how long it takes afterwards to
get an answer.
An answer, yes.
Oh, well, usually it should be done in 48 hours. It depends. If you upload it on a Saturday morning, it can take till Monday. But how long have you been waiting, Pauline?
I definitely have it sent in. I sent it in, I think, on Thursday last.
Okay. And you haven't heard from us yet?
I've Eva has contacted me. I sent it in the wrong way because I wanted if we could do it through net coaching, but I explained that we would prefer the net coaching. We have 2 children that we need to be looked at through your school, 2 tube-fed children. So I spoke to her about that. I just wanted to kind of know about that.
And so, Pauline, where do you live?
Ireland.
Ireland. Okay, we've just had 2 Irish children, one from Cork and one from Dublin.
I spoke to the man from Cork.
Very lovely man. Well, of course, netcode, I hardly would know any reason why we would be against net coaching unless the child really has troubling sensory issues, where we really think that a hands-on approach is necessary. But after looking at the videos, we will definitely be able to tell you.
We were advised to start. One of the things, our baby is NG fed, the other child is PEG fed. Both of them have Down syndrome, but we were advised to start with one first because of, I don't know how intense the program is. I'm just wondering about that. So we were going to start with one child, the baby first, because of the issue of a PEG possibly coming soon.
Try and avoid it.
Yes.
Okay, well, Pauline, you have to, I never feel that the tube weaning process is especially challenging on the parents in needing extra time of their day, because otherwise they've been tube feeding their baby and now they're doing feeding trials. I wouldn't say, I never advise parents to take a holiday off, you know, try and keep your routines. And if you feel that you would like to focus first on your younger child and then after on the older child, we can gladly do that. But if you feel you can, that you're focusing on this in any case, we can also do both at the same time. This, I would try and discuss that in the question of whether you can get some extra family support. Because of course, how old is your little baby?
11 months.
Good. Is it a little girl or a boy?
2 boys. We have 2 boys, yes.
And is the smaller one able to sit in a high chair?
Yes. He has a specialized chair, but he can sit. Yes.
And he doesn't have additional medical problems like cardiac or something?
He's been through the mill with cardiac issues. He sucked before. He ended up on life support for 60 days and he lost his suck. So this is where the problem arose. He was orally feeding.
And is the swallowing back again now? He can swallow his saliva?
Yes.
Well, Pauline, I promise tomorrow morning I'll immediately see whether your assessment got stuck somewhere.
Okay.
I'll take care about it. Normally, it should not be longer than 48 hours unless we miss a specific medical report, but then you always would get an answer saying, please upload something we're missing.
Unless I missed something now. Thank you very much for your help today.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be able to solve the problem, and getting both off the tube would be a beautiful result.
That would be great. Thank you.
Very nice. I'll take care about that. I've written your name down, so we'll take care about the assessment.
Really appreciate that.
Anybody of the other parents would like to ask a question? Yeah, just let me see. Danae wants to ask, how many guardians are welcome to be part of the play picnic? Okay. Now, usually we say a child visiting the eating school should be accompanied by at least 2 people. That means in the best of cases, both parents. Now, depending whether the child has 2 or 3 or 4 or more siblings, this might be too challenging. And then sometimes one parent comes for the first week and the second parent for the second week, accompanied sometimes by a grandparent. And we had up to like both sets of grandparents accompany the parents with siblings. We are very non-restrictive now again because COVID fortunately is over. In the pandemic itself, we did cut down to just 2 people per family. But I think this has to be discussed in each family system, whether the older children need to be kept in school, whether, you know, how far the distance is, whether you come by plane or by car. That depends. Jenna, in which country are you located? Oh, Canada. And would you be interested in coming to the eating school with your child? Yeah.
Yes. We've been accepted to the December school. So I was just wondering if I'm a single mom and wondering if I came with my 2 parents, if the 3 adults.
Absolutely. Okay. Wonderful. No problem at all. The only thing we sometimes are a little hesitant about is having adolescent siblings, you know, like having 4 teenagers running around, because they will get a little bit bored, because our eating school is apt for children with severe eating problems who are older. We can deal with that very well. But if children are healthy and they have to spend there from 9 in the morning till 6, it's a little boring for them. But having 2 grandparents and you is wonderful, because sometimes you can then, we always have parallel child-adult sensory group with a parent educative group. So you can have the grandparents both be fully involved, and they can take turns, like one can do the morning and one can do the afternoon. It would be good if you then choose an apartment which is close enough that it's easy to commute. And we have a list which we give you. And there's one thing called, I think, the Graz apartments, which are very close, and we can very much recommend them. And Eva will help you in this respect.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice. Is there other question? Dennis and his wife, Miroslava. What is the problem, Dennis, of your little beautiful girl? I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. Muss ich das machen?
Okay, now it works.
Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Hi, nice to see you again. But we already went to the no-tube school.
Ah, lovely. Now I see you. Wonderful. Schau. Das ist die.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. So we, in the meantime, we've been chatting with Cassie, who was seeing Brianna also again, our daughter. So we actually went to there last December. So which was very successful indeed. So after, what was it, 2 days indeed, the tube was removed, and that she's still without a tube. So that works wonderfully.
And Dennis, tell me, at what age was Brianna last December when you came?
Not 2, 3 months before 2. So it was 1 year and 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah. And she was she didn't have much fears. The main thing actually hindering the children to make the step towards food is mostly not a physical problem of swallowing or tongue technique or movement problems of the mouth or the larynx. It's mostly in there. And especially smart children can have a difficult time because they sometimes anxious, or they've even, some have gone through quite traumatic oral experiences, and that has to be overcome. And usually at that age you don't explain it to the children have to find their way out of their fear jungle themselves. And I'm very happy to hear that Brianna is, I mean, she's a beauty. And
thank you. So it worked out really well, and she developed afterwards the motoric skills that she needed to eat, and she eats and swallows, and she doesn't have any problem with food. Our struggle still is growing, of Brianna. Growth of Brianna has stopped now for 1 year.
So she actually eats everything we present to her. She eats it also by herself, and she also indicates when she doesn't want.
And how much weight gain has she had in the last 10 months?
Nothing. So
0.
we are at 8 again. Still.
So she hasn't grown any centimeters and she hasn't gained any weight.
That's not entirely
no.
true.
She's 1 centimeter in length and 0 grams in weight.
So actually, she gains weight 100, 200 grams, and then she falls again back, and she goes back and forth. That is our struggle now. Still,
are the doctors you visit already making a lot of pressure?
No. The doctors themselves are not making a lot of pressure. We do have dietitian who recommended to have, let's say, more specialized food with a higher calorie intake to see, because she doesn't eat a lot, at least what she eats has a bit of high calorie, to try that. But even with that, she just stays at the same weight.
Yeah. Well, may I advise you both to send us to the email address help@notube.com, please, a summary about Brianna's kind of average intake, and we will analyze it and give you a recommendation whether we think that anything must be. I would need the exact, weight and height to calculate everything, and we'll re-evaluate. You don't have to pay anything about that, and then we will see whether we advise you to do something, to change something, or whether we have an idea. Please use that option. But she's beautiful. Is she talking a lot?
Yeah, she is. Actually, it started after the tube weaning. The whole talking process started as well. We were in Graz. She said for the first time, "Mama," and now she's talking sentences. So it's going great. All the other aspects of development of Brianna are going great, cognitively and motoric, everything except the weight.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have a closer look, because it's not possible to just give you a simple answer.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's great to see you guys again.
Lovely to see you. Latifa, Marlene, Miroslava. Is anybody interested in the issue of children who are highly selective, who don't have a tube? Because in our group composition in the eating schools and is very diverse. Yeah, Gina, you have that problem?
Yeah, my 13-month-old son was on a feeding tube in his first 16 days of life due to severe intrauterine growth restriction. And then he was taken off the tube and doing great breastfeeding and whatnot. But he is refusing all solids, will not eat solids.
So how do you keep him?
He's now on formula bottles pretty much fully.
Fully on formula at 13 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he already sitting stably? Can he sit himself?
And he's meeting all his milestones. Speech is maybe a little behind, but all like his gross motor, he's walking and everything else.
Walking. Well, then definitely it would be time to make the next step away from the bottle. And I think in that case, if you can make it to come to us, that would be a situation where we do think that the eating school is superior as a method than the net coaching, because he needs a change of environment to kind of release these developmental things which are keeping him fixed on the bottle. And it'll be lovely to meet you. I'll meet you in December. And I don't know where in Canada you live, but it can be quite cold in December in Graz, so you need to bring mittens.
Well, warm compared to here, so it'll be nice.
Are you in northern Canada?
No, Alberta, by the mountains. It gets really cold.
Beautiful. Okay, lovely. Well, I'm looking forward. So it'll be not really what we call a picky eater, but what we call a delayed eating development, stuck on the bottle, we call that. And that can actually happen. It's exactly the age which it typically happens. Children get stuck on the breast or stuck on the bottle, and they kind of don't make the next jump. And for these children, the eating school is just the best environment. Very lovely. Latifa, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, hi. My daughter, she was in February in the eating school. She's changing a lot, and we decrease the milk with every day that I write. But now, maybe 1 month ago, I stop in 100 ml. I cannot decrease it anymore because her weight is it was less 8.5, 8.6, like this, and she decreased. I don't know, yani maybe because of the food habit every 2.5 hours that I do for her, because I remember that you recommend in the first that every 2 hours, because she eats small.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't eat too much. But now she refused. And then I have to increase the milk. I only increase it 200 for the day, only at night. I increase it 100, so total is 200 for a full day. So she eat in the morning. She like to eat alone. But sometimes she refuse.
Yeah. Well,
so I have to give her.
Yeah. Latifa, I would also love, like the parents of Brianna, to look at the exact numbers at her growth. So please send me an email to help@notube.com with her current weight and height, and we'll have to find a solution, because to keep her on 200 is not a good idea. We have to find a different way of helping her make the transition, fully.
Yes. Because of that, I registered a November group eating school, but until now, I don't hear anything about our health to cover the health ministry. So I don't know, because if not, I don't know what it will happen, if they will approve it or not.
Do you need their approval, or could you also come to us without their assistance?
It will be easier, because she have a problem with the plane about the oxygen. If no oxygen, it will be for me very easy to come, even without approval. But in oxygen, there is a lot of paper that I have to do.
I remember. But does she still need the oxygen support?
I didn't try. I didn't travel with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know what will happen.
Maybe you can ask the pediatrician to confirm whether it's really necessary for her still to have a specially assisted travel, because she is now much, much older than she was, and she's more mature, and possibly there's no need for special medical support anymore, and that would make things much easier.
Yeah.
But
and
we'd love to see you again.
Yes, and she improved a lot eating, but sometimes she refuses. Sometimes she eat a lot.
Yeah.
By herself. Sometimes
I remember she's a very strong personality, and
yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know what's wrong. Maybe something I do wrong. I don't know.
I think we have to just. I think you need a big support of security to make this final step of really stopping, and that would be the goal. If you can come again in November or December to just make this step, I think the time would be right. And just please check that about the oxygen, because usually it's a precaution which only much younger children need. You know,
Yes.
Aeroplanes have oxygen, but we don't really need the special attention if at that age which she has now.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank
Lovely.
you.
So, Miroslava, I still have the question whether Miroslava would like to ask a specific question. And there's also always in parents, there's this kind of concern of making a change. Whether this is tube or leaving the food which the child has had, the bottle, making a change makes people nervous. And really, it's the anxiety which is much more the problem than the physical or emotional inability of the child. So in these cases, the eating school is a very, very encouraging environment, because if everything is different, then the child is kind of confused in a very positive way. And the fear situation, which it usually has when you notice the children already react aversive when the bib comes along, or when you put the child in the high chair, or when you get ready for food. And in the eating school, everything is different. Everything is exciting and loud and children. And for some reason, this helps them very, very much just, you know, click their mind out of the comfort zone they're used to, and make huge steps of change without us actually supporting each detail of each step. They kind of make it themselves because the environment is different, and because nobody is interfering and saying, oh, this might be too hard for you. So that's the main positive effect the eating school can have, that the parents with each other and with the whole team, which is there all the time, really get a full package of back support, helping them to get over a whole bunch of complex fears and anxieties which have come up over the months before. Yes. Now, is there anything which you all seem very well informed already? Is there anything you would like me to go into specifically still? Miroslava, have you got a child with a problem? Marlene? Okay.
Yeah, Marlene is a nurse actually in the Netherlands, and she was just asking kind of to know more about the program, how she can communicate this to her patients. And actually Dennis is answering her right now with some information. So they are connecting already on the background. So it's wonderful, but no question. Yeah.
Yes. And I think what is interesting for us is to see that the confrontation with a different mindset about your child's problem also is something which we find is very beneficial for the parents, because every parent which we meet has been trying to get the best possible support for its child wherever you live. You know, you've gone to doctors, you've gone to specialists, you've gone to therapists, you've asked your friends, you've asked your neighbors, you've really nobody comes to us after not being incredibly well prepared. And sometimes the problem is that the parents are like overloaded with things they should be doing, which have been told to them, try this, try that, try something else. With me, it worked. And in many cases, the confrontation with, okay, this has all not helped. Let's kind of step back and give the child environment where we just observe where the child is itself, can be really a very, very comforting experience for the parents. We very often often encounter the parents being utterly exhausted and desperate, actually, because this simple thing of learning to eat is seemingly not working only for their child. Everybody else seems to be having no problem at all. And that's very depressing in a certain way. They tell us sometimes that it makes them cry to see children in the playground just eat an apple or eat a cookie because their child can't do the most simple thing. And one has to have a lot of understanding for the emotional state in which the parents are having a child which doesn't have a normal eating development, because it somehow seems a simple problem, and for them it seems a unsolvable, huge problem. And that's one of the reasons we also have 2 psychologists on board and a psychotherapist, and my husband and I are also psychotherapists, so that meeting the physical and the psychological parts of this whole complex endeavor is very familiar for us. Yes, Mr. Cullen, hello, nice to see you.
Hi, Ronnie. I'm Brendan Pauline's husband. Yeah, just to follow up on what you said there, that's exactly how I've been feeling with it. Anyway, I look at Rory, who is our 3-year-old now, and when I try to feed him, I just cannot understand. I'm at a loss. You know, we just like that. We have tried what speech and language therapists have said. We had 3 speech and language therapists on the go at one stage. We were driving probably 100 miles each way, twice a month to see this one particular lady who came recommended. But you know, we would do the warm-up exercises around the mouth. Yeah, we've tried everything, and that's why we're.
And now we've another one.
Talking to you guys, yeah.
We were hoping the baby would teach the 3-year-old to eat, but unfortunately he ended up quite ill. But
yeah,
and he drank, whereas the other child never did. He drank bottles.
And your 3-year-old is 100% dependent on his PEG, or does he eat a tiny bit?
Tiny bits.
Yeah.
Tiny bits, spitting out a lot.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Very minimal. Yeah.
He's a PEG now, but we've had awful problems with the PEG as well. So.
Well, I think the 2 of you have to discuss whether you want to do this change with both children at the same time, or you want to do first the little one, then the big one. I think that's a very personal decision.
Whatever you advise, we're very.
What do you think, Marion, if it's going to be a net coaching?
Well, I think for me, it's like the longer they're on the tube, the more they're going to get dependent. So I feel like do the little one first and then the second one.
Yeah.
But
the baby's on CPAP as well at nighttime, and even doing short trips for 2 or 3 days.
Or maybe you can stagger it. Like try, do like the first 2 weeks and then the next one starts. So you get like one started and then they can kind of do it together, because some of the activities will be similar.
Okay.
And they will be engaging, and even though the age difference, but you started somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good kind of.
Yeah.
And we do hope that the CPAP, maybe once the nasogastric tube is out, will not be necessary anymore. And that will also make the child's nights and your nights easier. And if the nights get better, then the days will also. So I'm absolutely confident we can do this, but we just have to get started, because what external therapists, especially the speech and language therapists, are not even really allowed to do is make substantial changes in the child's tube feeds. So as long as the tube is pouring in sufficient amounts of volumes, there's nothing much you can expect the child to change, because he's never hungry. And it's so simple. And it sounds nearly ridiculously simple, but before you don't have somebody who takes the responsibility and says, now we're just going to take away 30 or 40% of the calories and calm down and wait for 2 days and give the child a fair chance, he can't make a change. So it's not really your son's fault. It's the fault of the circumstances which have been around him for too long a time. And that's something which one has to nearly say is a side effect of our modern, wonderful pediatric intensive care. You know, that these children 40 years ago, before we had the tubes, didn't survive. And now we have to be very grateful that they do survive. But we haven't caught up in all professionals who are involved here to make effective teams feeding. And that's what, since my husband and I have been specializing in this field for nearly 40 years, Graz has become like a little bit a unique, special place where we do have enough people all focused on a joint subject who know each other for a whole professional life. And that makes it easier for us also to kind of intuitively really give the parents the emotional support and the confidence which they deserve and which they need.
Thank you.
Miroslav.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Yes, just let me read. Miroslav wants to know. Yes, 6-year-old. Very good. Miroslav Lava is writing to us that her 6-year-old son has been on a feeding tube practically all his life due to a dysphagia and hypotonia, muscular, and he weaned himself in the past few months. And now, I think, as far as I understand, he is mainly drinking. Is that right, Miroslava? Yeah. I think your question is very absolutely justified, but I think we have to go more into the details of his general development to understand what is his problem right now and why he's not quite able to meet your expectations about the diversity and the variety of the food.
Yeah.
And
Margaret, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think the question was about what to do about the medications, to hide them in the favorite foods, or how, because that's the last thing they're still giving via tube. And I just don't know what are good steps to get the medication in.
Well,
do you have any strategies?
It depends on what medication it is. We have to be very sure that all this medication is still medically absolutely necessary. In some cases, when the parents ask their doctors and their teams, then the teams say, oh, actually, we could tamper it off and we could wean the child off. So it is important to understand which medication is being given, how many times a day, in which size, like how many mils. And we actually have no patients at all whom we need to keep on the tube only because of medication. So even horrible medication like spironolactone and, very bad tasting things, we manage to hide in, mostly it's raspberry or Nutella. You can either put the pill or the liquid, you can hide it in a bowl of chocolate and things like that. And that depends very much on how the oral skills are developed in the child. But you would have to send me an email to really discuss which medication it is and how often per day this would be necessary. And I'll be very happy to look at it. And if he's eating regular food, I don't see any problem that this shouldn't be possible. We just have to kind of have the gut to try it. Thanks for your question. Yeah, we are coming up to more or less the end. I'm very happy to see parents who are coming to Graz and parents who have been in Graz. It's a lovely meeting of you. And I would like to thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. Oh, there's your little sweetheart. Hi, Latifa. This is the little girl. Yeah, yeah, she's a beauty.
Really hi.
Yes, yes, hello. We are at the moment in Tel Aviv, and it's 10 o'clock in the night. So probably, Latifa, your child also should
Yeah,
be
the same.
there.
The same.
The same,
The same.
same time.
Yes.
But, in Europe, it's a little bit, it's 1 hour earlier. And Marion lives in America, and I think it's 7 hours earlier. So we are all connected on a joint venture. And thank you very, very much for your taking your time, of the parents who have been with us, of the parents who are planning to come, and of anybody you know who's interested in sharing a problem they might have with their child. Please use the free evaluation. Eva will be offering appointments from tomorrow on again, and I think the waiting list is not too long. She does very many every day, and the parents don't have to wait for weeks. Bye-bye, Kat. Bye, everybody. It's been lovely seeing you. And Pauline, Marlene, Jenna, Miroslava, Dennis, Latifa. Thanks, team, to all of you. And we're looking very much forward to seeing a bunch of you back in Graz very soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Much.